Hello and welcome to the course on critical race theory. What is it and how you can defend yourself and survive college with your sanity intact. A little bit about me and a little bit about the course. My name is Joshua Lovelace. I've been teaching math at Cal State San Marcos for about 15 years, if you include grad school. I've taught almost every undergraduate course, and I've also taught general education and learning courses. So I have a strong math background, but also a strong general education background, in particular in how students pick topics, do an annotated bibliography, do citations, and formulate an argument, just the basics of academic research. How did I get involved in this, and why is a mathematician talking about critical race theory of all things? Well, I've been a progressive for most of my life, registered Democrat for most of my life, and in 2016, Donald Trump was elected, and this rocked my world. I thought, watching the primaries, there's no way Donald Trump is going to be the Republican candidate. And then watching the debates between Hillary and Trump, I thought, there's no way Trump could win. And it turns out Trump won. And I thought, how did this happen? What I thought I understood the world. I thought, what is going on? This doesn't make any sense to me. Why are people voting for Trump? And I distinctly remember watching a Saturday Night Live video with Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock, and the cast were around the television set watching the election. It was an election party, and when Trump won, everyone was devastated. And Dave Chappelle was essentially making fun of the people, saying, "You're stupid for thinking Hillary could win. Racism is real, you idiots." And it came across as really cynical and dark. I'm exaggerating. I'm giving my interpretation of the skit. But it felt, well, two things were off for me. Number one, Dave Chappelle's humor is usually very light. Not in the sense that it's easy, but he takes things that are dark and heavy, and through his humor, he elevates it. He makes the darkness bearable. And that's what I really admire and respect about Dave Chappelle. But in this skit, it wasn't funny to me. It seemed very cynical and critical, almost like these people were shocked and dismayed, and he was kicking them while they were down, and it felt like a betrayal to me. It's hard to describe. And so I started doing some research, like, okay, what happened and why are people assuming that Trump won because of racism? Like, I'm not so naive to think that racism doesn't exist. I think it does, but I don't think 50% of the population is racist. So I started investigating, is this true? Are these claims of racism true? I started talking to people. I started looking into accounts of why people voted for Trump. Around the same time, Jordan Peterson was involved in a lot of political controversy because he opposed Bill C-16. Brett Weinstein got into hot water in Evergreen State College because he opposed a social justice initiative. And all the people I talked to, the sentiment was, we are sick and tired of political correctness. And so we're going to elect the most politically incorrect person imaginable, Donald Trump. And that made sense to me. That made a lot more sense than this accusation of white supremacy and racism. I'm not saying those people don't exist, but the idea that people are sick and tired of political correctness made a lot of sense to me, which means that if people want to really get to the heart, get to the root of undermining Trump's base, progressives need to back off on the political correctness. That was my conclusion. And I tried to persuade people, hey, back off the political correctness and talk about policy issues. Talk about policy instead of identity politics. And I got a lot of pushback from this. And after all my research, I thought, wow, what's going on? And this really came to a head for me during the lockdowns and during the election cycle and during the lockdowns when California passed Senate Bill AB 1460. Most people weren't aware of this because we were all locked down. This bill requires students in the Cal State system to take a 3-unit ethnic studies course in order to graduate. Now, graduation requirements are nothing new, but it is unprecedented to have the government, the state government, the governor and the Senate of California to mandate what is taught in a university system. There are professors who disagree with this, not because they oppose the content of ethnic studies courses, but because they oppose the top-down imposition of the government. So my goal here, the aim of this course is to talk about critical race theory and how it's embedded in ethnic studies courses. There's a lot of confusion in the media, and I figured I've been studying this for like 5 years, so hopefully I can share what I know and help people. And from both sides, so a lot of conservatives are saying, well, critical race theory is Marxism. It's like, well, that's not exactly true. It's something else. And then a lot of progressive people are saying, well, it's the civil rights movement. Well, no, it's not that. Actually, critical race theory attacks traditional civil rights methodology. What a lot of it is postmodernism. And most people don't know what postmodernism is. So this course is designed for freshmen. There are a lot of great resources if you're a professor or if you're in academia. I highly recommend this book, Cynical Theories by James Linsay and Helen Pluckrose. It's impeccably researched. It has over 180 citations. It's exhaustive, but the language can be very terse and the philosophy difficult to parse at times. If you're an administrator, I recommend Counter Wokecraft. This book has a similar spirit to what I'm trying to do, but this is addressed to faculty and staff in a university to diagnose what this worldview is and how you can defend yourself. My aim is to direct this course at freshmen who are going to be required to take ethnic studies courses, and I want them to be able to separate genuine social justice, cooperation, and positive, constructive ideas from toxic, destructive, critical race theory ideas that are mixed into the course. I want you to be able to pull it apart and separate, okay, this is a healthy idea, this is a toxic idea. So I want you to be able to distinguish what the problem is and defend yourself. And I have an analogy that I would like to use for this course, and that is the Harry Potter story. Some people scoff at Harry Potter, but I like to use it as a reference because it's a cultural image that most people recognize. It allows me to communicate ideas quickly and memorably. So if you have read the 5th book, or if you remember the 5th movie, The Order of the Phoenix, what happens is Professor Umbridge is mandated to take over Hogwarts. She's a government entity who's given power and authority to determine what happens at the school. And the teachers don't like this, and the students don't like this. So here's a slide I created to communicate this idea. Remember, Professor Umbridge was saccharine sweet and arrogant. She believed she knew what was best for everybody. And she passed all these rules and proclamations while smiling in a saccharine sweet sort of way. Well, her motivation for doing this was twofold. Number one, she wanted power. And number two, she suspected that Dumbledore was trying to gain power. and she thought Harry was lying about Voldemort, lying about a lurking evil just to gain attention. What did the students do in response to this? Well, they wanted to defend themselves, but Professor Umbridge said, no, you can't take traditional defense against the dark arts. So what did they do? They created their own group. They called themselves Dumbledore's Army, and they did their own practice to defend against the dark arts. And this is what I envision myself doing. There's this top-down authority who's telling you what to do and how to think, but really they're undermining your ability to defend yourself. And I would like to empower you. I would like to offer you some alternatives, some different ways to think about things. So there are three modules in this course. The first module is, what is critical race theory? And I'm going to do a historical analysis of what critical race theory is, what are the key concepts and beliefs, and what are their inferences. Now you might think, well, who are you to be talking about critical race theory of all things? You're a mathematician. Well, two things. I think of myself, at least on this topic, as a journalist. I've done research, I've read a bunch, and I'm reporting on what I know. The second thing is my mathematical training is actually an advantage to help explain and understand what's going on. In particular, mathematical thinking involves identifying axiomatic presuppositions and then logical reasoning and inferences from those presuppositions. And as a mathematician, contradictions drive me nuts. Manipulation and lies are even worse, but contradictions and hazy language, imprecise, lack of rigor drives me nuts. So I'm going to do two things in this course. I'm going to show you what are the axiomatic presuppositions and the definitions, and I'm going to point out some of the logical contradictions. And I want you to understand with total clarity what this ideology is about and what it's trying to do. And I want you to be able to spot it within a paragraph. It's often mixed in with other ideas. So within a paragraph, I want you to be able to say, aha, sentence 3 right there, that's the critical race theory stuff. The second thing, after you're able to identify critical race theory, is to defend yourself. You are going to be under attack. If you oppose any of these ideas, you will be attacked. And it's important to know how to defend yourself. This is the defense against the dark arts idea. I also think about this as a martial arts sort of training. If you're a martial artist, the goal isn't to beat people up. The goal is to have the confidence that you can defend yourself if needed. A lot of students have a fear of being canceled or rejected or judged or shamed for voicing their opinions. They're intimidated to say what they think. And I want to help give people confidence that they can say what they want to say and defend themselves if needed. So the first part, what is critical race theory? The second part, how to defend yourself. And then the third part, which is arguably the most valuable part of the course, is how to have a real conversation, how to have a genuine conversation. I love Jonathan Haidt's work on this. The Open Mind program is great. I really like Brene Brown's work on this, on courage and vulnerability. And if you've studied Daryl Davis, he transforms people's lives through friendship and conversation. Now, I'm not saying that you will achieve that level of communication, but what I'm hoping to provide is what I see as a lack in university training and instruction, which is how to have a civil dialogue. What are the prerequisites to have a Socratic dialogue, how to have productive conversation without name calling, so you can not only mature intellectually, but also socially, improve your interpersonal relationships and your connection to a broader society. what do you need for this course? Well, it's all video. I'm going to be putting links in the description and giving you little assignments to work on. The more you put into the course, the more you'll get out of it. I recommend you use note cards for 2 reasons. Number one, it helps with kinesthetic memory. If you're touching the cards and working with the cards, it'll embed it in your memory better. And the second thing is practice recall helps you remember things. And flashcards are a good way to quiz yourself by flipping them. You could use Cornell notes. The way Cornell notes work, you take a piece of paper and you fold it approximately in a third. So you fold it, and then on one side, you take notes for the course. And then in the margins, you write questions or like words with the definition on the other side. And then the idea is you cover up your notes and then you quiz yourself. So it's like a note card, but you have, instead of having 2 sides, you just have it divided by 1 line. That's another recommended way to get the most value out of this course. And of course, practice. I'll give you activities to do, little assignments. And the more you put into this course, the more you get out of it. So my hope is by the end of this course, you'll understand what critical race theory is. You will understand how to defend yourself morally, ethically, and you'll have tools in order to engage in productive and meaningful dialogue, how to resolve conflicts, and how to really improve your life and the life of people around you. I look forward to being your instructor. It's my honor and privilege, and I hope I can make this fun despite the sometimes dark theme of the course. I might add some Harry Potter references here and there, and I'll strive to keep it fun and interesting. If you would, please put comments below. Let me know what you think. Give me feedback, and maybe we'll have a version 2.0 soon. All right, well, welcome to the course, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.